Welcome to 91 Reasons, a pop culture fueled rocket into the far reaches of nerd culture. Featuring your hosts, Jeff, Rachel, Luna, Austin, and Josie. It's Tucker time.
Hey everybody, welcome. This is 91 Reasons. I am Jeff. I am the voice of this show, but I'm here with everybody here. Say hello.
Hello.
Who are you?
Rachel.
And who are you?
I'm Austin Tucker.
And we are here to talk about this really cool Netflix show that we discovered. Now, this has been on, they've had 2 seasons of it, so a lot of people have discovered it, and a lot of people have reviewed it. But today I was able to talk to the executive producer of it, the guy behind it, the creator of it, because he's got a new show coming out called Discontinued, which we will talk about in a minute, and I was able to interview him, so I'm going to play that amazing interview. But before, I thought we would talk about the toys that made us, because this is what led us into Discontinued. And remember, we had that Gemmer show for a while. We were trying to get the producer to come on that show, and it just didn't work out. But I actually got him to be on 91 Reasons, which was very cool. But the toys that made us, this is a Netflix series, and it's a series of nearly 1 hour mini documentaries about where the toys that we loved as children, where they came from, right?
Yes. These are deep dives into the histories of these toys. These are not just overviews and 40-minute short documentaries. This is like an amazing textbook history lesson of where your childhood came from. I mean, the episode on Transformers is a great example. I would say there's only 20 minutes on modern Transformers in there. It's mostly about the original Japanese line and where the designs came from and what Optimus Prime really is, which was a Japanese transforming robot toy named Convoy that came out way before Transformers.
With a pilot.
With a human, yeah. Different thing entirely. And I mean, it really is amazing to see these things you love and know. They didn't just poof, and most of the time, one guy didn't just sit down and create it. I mean, it was a collective. These things came into being through these amazing stories.
Right, and the first episode was Star Trek, but we're already talking about Transformers. One of the amazing things that we found out in the Transformers episode was that one guy who was in charge of naming all of them.
Yes.
And he just sat down overnight and named all of these Transformers that the names have stuck 30 plus years now.
These are household names, and it was just in a notebook of his. Because, I mean, he just got the memo from Hasbro. We're importing this Japanese toy line. We need some new names for these characters. Give us something tomorrow
And you're on season 2, you know. Are you going to start from the beginning with what they started the shows on? What episodes
I thought Star Trek was the first one. It doesn't go up any higher.
No, it started with Star Wars.
Oh, wait. I think it's in reverse order.
It is.
Oh, there we go.
This is where it started. Star Wars was the first one.
Scroll down.
Remember He-Man, Barbie, G.I. Joe? That was first
Yeah,
season.
that's wave
So
one.
G.I. Joe.
Yes.
We started with G.I. Joe.
Yes.
Which is a good place to start as the original action figure, right?
Yes, the invention of the action.
And then there was He-Man, which was really funny.
And it doesn't matter that you don't collect every line of the toy. You lived through it. You know what toy it was, even if you weren't into it. I'm really into documentaries, so I found it fascinating just because of the documentary.
I think He-Man's story is much more fascinating than the figures.
Oh, the He-Man one's crazy. That one guy who's like, I call it He-Man because it's about being a He-Man. Like, that guy was nuts, right? It's worth watching. And then Barbie was the one I mentioned to the guy when I interviewed him was, I thought I knew everything about Barbie and how Barbie was made and created, but boy, do you learn a lot.
And they do 4 episodes per season, and there's always 3 boy and 1 girl toy. I don't know if you noticed that. That's the pattern they followed. With the first 2 seasons and with the upcoming 3rd season, it's all following a pattern of 3 toys for boys or whoever, and 1 around girls. Wish it was more girls.
Well, they'll get to them. Eventually they'll run out,
Only
right?
1 season.
Now, the Star Wars episode is much longer at 51 minutes. It's got about 7 minutes more one time. I think that episode is a masterpiece. I think it's the best
they
Star
all do
Wars
seem to
documentary
run differently
I
on
have
their
ever
time.
seen.
Yeah, we've watched a lot of Star Wars toy documentaries. They usually do about 10 minutes of how Kenner got the license, and then an hour and a half of people showing off their rarities in their collection, right?
Everybody knows the story. Mego passed it up, Kenner got it. They didn't have time to make figures, so they made a cardboard box. That's the basic story.
Right, but what these guys go into is the in-depth, and they actually showed, for the first time I've ever seen, the offices in Cincinnati where the toys were designed. It is basically where my childhood was created. That's a really weird thing to see. Like, the guys behind it who drew it, who took the Millennium Falcon from a full-size set or a model used in the making of the movie and made it into a toy, which is a different animal completely.
And what's great is they didn't have any materials or reference photos back then, so they used whatever. There's a great scene where the head designer of the toys, this guy is crazy because he has designed most of your childhood. He was in charge of the materials for the figures, like what plastics to use, what the vinyl capes he was behind, and he was talking about the Jawa and how he made the Jawa's cape with the tube sock he was wearing that day. He took his sock off.
Right, because they needed the prototypes
now
ASAP to get the license to prove.
He couldn't run to the store to get materials for the Jawa, so he just took his socks off and glued it around a Fisher-Price figure.
Yeah, that's completely amazing.
And that image of the prototype Jawa, I mean, that's famous. That those original mock-ups.
Yeah.
To think those were made in just a few hours with literally their clothing. It's an amazing story.
It's really cool. And then there was Hello Kitty, which was a very strange one.
Well, yeah, because, I mean, Hello Kitty only exists as a toy. Hello Kitty is, I mean, an intellectual property now, but Hello Kitty started out as a toy and didn't have a tie-in cartoon and didn't have anything tie-in.
Well, He-Man was the same way. He-Man's cartoon didn't come until a year later.
Okay.
The actual comic books that came with the He-Man toys tell a much different story than the very friendly Kitty cartoon after the laws were relaxed and that was able to be produced.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but Hello Kitty is again another one that I thought, oh, I'm going to be bored to tears. And then I was enthralled by it.
The one you dread every season is the only one I want every season.
Yeah, that's funny.
Did you guys know that Hello Kitty...
Give me Cabbage Patch. Give me Strawberry Shortcake.
Hello Kitty was just a coin purse?
Yeah, it was a coin purse, right?
They needed a drawing for a coin purse. They just do this cat and so I'd stick it on there.
Ooh, Glamour Gals. Give me Glamour Gals.
Glamour? You're the only one that collects Glamour Gals.
Again, another one I thought would be boring was Lego. I'm not really into Legos.
What I like about Lego is Lego's a company that I would say, unlike most of the ones here, we know a lot of the history because Lego's released a lot of really good coffee table books that I had one as a kid I loved.
Austin was really into Legos when he was young.
So I had the Lego book and I knew it. But what the documentary goes into a lot of was Lego's downfall around 2000 when the companies almost went bankrupt.
Right.
And how Bionicle saved them.
Bionicle.
Yeah, they saved the entire company. They talk about all the lines that failed. Anybody remember Max Power? Oh, the realistic guy?
Yeah.
He was like lanky and tall.
That was Homer Simpson's name on The Simpsons.
Was it really?
He changed his name to Max Power. He got it off the hairdryer.
Oh, wow. Anybody else remember Galador?
Galador.
That was Lego's TV show and action figure line. Not minifigures, like actual posable figures.
There was a time, Austin, you had an entire city of Legos in your room.
I called it the Lego Town, and I was obsessed.
Yeah.
You know how crazy I was? It was a town, right? There was a city hall, there was a police station, there was a fire station. They even had a convention center that was just an empty building. And once a week, I would get to play with that and host a con. And once the con ended and all the costumed characters were taken off of the set, I couldn't play with that part of the town for a week. Because the con was only held every weekend.
Why would you impose such weird rules on yourself?
Because I made my own Comic-Con.
Only ran on the weekends, Dad.
Very strange.
Even when I wanted to add the Death Star, because I had all these Stormtroopers and the Emperor figure I just got, and I'm like, I want to make a Death Star. I couldn't build a Death Star. I had to build a Death Star metropolitan skyscraper that fit in with the theme. So like Vader was in a business suit in a tower.
It's a very strange.
Because everything had to fit.
Had to fit.
Had to walk.
Okay, then we're up to
Fun
Transformers
times.
and Star Trek.
Star Trek's interesting because they talk about how in the documentary, Star Trek started out as a time when the toy market wasn't standardized. There wasn't a set scale of figures or dolls to make. They didn't even really have action figures back then. So Star Trek just started out as like cap guns, throwaway toys, grocery store toys. There was no figure line.
Did you know that in the 1980s, there was only one line of Star Trek figures?
That's amazing.
And there were only 4 figures in the set.
That's insane.
The Ertl Star Trek III The Search for Spock set is the only 1980s action figure set. Because the Meadows were 79,
Yep.
and Playmates were in the early 90s.
1990.
And you can't count the figures that came out for Star Trek V because they're not posable. They're just little vinyl statues.
How about the fact that every single Star Trek movie has had a new licensee? Even up till today was Discovery having a new licensee.
Yeah, it's weird. It's because there's such a disconnect between the scale of the Enterprise
And the people.
and you can't find a happy medium so that the kid can put his figures in the Enterprise and then fly around the room like the Falcon.
You know what I think they should do? This is my solution. They've made big Star Trek figures. They've made really tiny ones. But they've never made, like, 2.5-inch mask-style Star Trek figures. I think they should try that.
Yeah, that would work.
Do them in 3-packs. Like, you get 3 crew members for $8. And then make the Enterprise at, like, 20 inches. Make it pretty reasonable so that the figures can go in them. That way the ships aren't too big and the figures aren't too big, but they're still small enough that you can have a bit of paint apps.
So there's a 3rd season of the Toys That Made Us coming, which is, what episodes did you say? It was
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
wrestling toys.
Wrestling toys. Oh my goodness, I just had it.
My Little Pony.
The girl one is My Little Pony.
What's the last
Do you know the
license?
My Little Pony song, Rachel?
I never played with My Little Pony. But I never played with it.
Now, My Little Pony has
Not my
something
thing.
that a lot of these other toys don't.
Power
I mean,
Rangers is the other
Power
one.
Rangers. What does My Little Pony have?
all these other toys, the collectors kind of age with the audience and they pick up new fans. But like, you see the vintage Transformers still on the shelves. A kid who buys an Optimus Prime today would be just as happy with a 1985 Optimus. I know I loved my original Transformers and my new ones. But with My Little Pony, there's a disconnect. There's the older people that just love the nostalgia of being a little girl and collecting ponies, have them on a shelf and have them look nice. Then you have like the hardcore bronies of today that are into like, what do they call it? G5, G4?
Right, it's the Friendship is
The
Magic.
Friendship is Magic one. It's like a totally different thing. So I wonder if they'll talk about that.
Oh, they have. You
They
can't
have to.
do a documentary about My Little Pony
You have
without
to
at
talk
least
about the
touching on the
bronies.
bronies.
I mean, it's something you have to talk about.
Okay, so we're going to segue now into my interview with Brian Volk-Weiss. Volk-Weiss. I hope I got that right. He is the executive producer, creator, and director of this new show called Discontinued, which is going to be premiering December 16th at 9:30 on your local CW network. That's a network that has all of the DC shows. You know what I'm talking about. Here in LA, it's Channel 5. Discontinued is like the Toys That Made Us, except it's not toys. They're going into big brands and brands that aren't with us anymore. And Brian is going to tell us all about them. I was able to talk to him on the phone, and here he is. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. Honored to be here.
I devoured the Toys That Made Us. Now you're the company that made the Toys That Made Us, correct?
Yes, sir.
That was a fantastic series.
Thank you. Very, very kind of you to say. It never gets old. Let me assure you, hearing that. So thank you.
I'm a child of the 80s. I grew up with all the toys that were on that show. And the one about Kenner and the Star Wars toy line, I actually cried because I'd never seen the offices where the actual toys were made. It's like watching, like this is where your childhood began, right here in this office building. And that was really amazing. I've seen a lot of toy documentaries, but nothing as good as those.
Can I tell you my inspiration for that moment you're referring to?
Absolutely.
RoboCop.
RoboCop, okay.
Have you seen the movie?
Absolutely, sure.
So there's a brilliant thing that Verhoeven did in RoboCop where basically RoboCop as RoboCop goes back to his house when he was Murphy. And he's walking around the house and it keeps flashing back between an empty house as him as RoboCop, and then the house the way it was when he was Murphy. And that's the inspiration for what we did at the end of the Star Wars episode.
Oh, that's great. That's a very touching scene of him remembering who he was before, especially because they'd have those screens that like welcome to the house that you want to buy. And,
exactly.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Exactly.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, those were just such really compelling shows. Even if you thought like, well, I'm a guy, I'm not really into Barbie. The Barbie one was fantastic. 5 minutes in, I was enthralled by it.
You're making me very happy. So on behalf of the whole crew, we're finishing up season 3 right now. But on behalf of the whole crew, thank you so much for saying that. Very kind of you.
It's my pleasure. Now you have a new show that's going to premiere in just a couple of weeks called Discontinued. Tell us what Discontinued is.
Discontinued. The original idea of Discontinued was, something I have always found fascinating. I'm a huge history buff. I love antique stores. Even when I was like a little kid, I used to love going to antique stores. And one of the things that I've always found really interesting is basically you can, a company or a product or a place will spend millions and millions, if not billions of dollars, marketing itself or its product for decades. And then one day they either stop making the product or the whole company goes out of business and it's gone. So I've always been so fascinated. Like I said, you go into an antique store and you see all this stuff in there where you're like, I had that. Oh my God. And at some point you're like, well, what happened to it? Why did they stop making the Speak and Spell? Whatever happened to the Power Glove? Why did they, a modern example, of course, brand new, is Toys R Us. Why did Toys R Us go out of business?
Yeah.
So that was the initial question that started off the idea for where the show came from. Then, one of my favorite shows of all time is Mystery Science Theater 3000. And I wanted to take my love of that show, which I've always wanted to do this with, but Discontinued was the perfect way to do it and find a way to merge the ideas. Because one of the things that I really wanted to get across while making the show was that I was born in 76, so I guess, I was a child of the 80s as well, even though I was born in the 70s. But I wanted to make a show that worked for 40 and 50-year-olds, but also worked for 8 through 15-year-olds, and we tried to do that with the Toys That Made Us as well, where, it's something that was iconic, but we packaged it in a certain way where we used humor and pathos to make it a very believable and enjoyable story. So first of all, you don't feel like you're being preached to, but also maybe you wake up the next day and you're at work or you're at school and you're like, oh my God, I was watching the show last night and I found out where Gidget, the dog from the Taco Bell commercials, I found out what happened to Gidget. So that I know I'm talking a lot, so I apologize, but that was the main idea of where the show came from.
No, that's fine. I work in the theme park industry, so I know all about how guests come and they want to know where this attraction went and why did it go away. And more importantly, what's happening now because of the Internet, because of people going in deeper into the things that they love. You get to find out, who made these things. I love the Haunted Mansion. Who built the Haunted Mansion at Disneyland? And that's been such a weird ride to pull back the veil of, certainly with, like you said, with the toys of the team behind He-Man, how crazy those guys are, and the team behind these other great toys, So you mentioned the Taco Bell dog and Speak and Spell. What other kinds of things will we see on Discontinued with the story and some great commentary?
Well, I don't want to give away everything, but we definitely, we get into Blockbuster, we get into Toys R Us, we hit up Taco Bell. Like I said, I don't want to give away all of them, but we also, one of my favorite things, which I've always been obsessed with, is the H1 Hummer. The thing that Schwarzenegger basically willed into existence.
Right.
where he convinced the military to sell Humvees to the public.
And then one day they were everywhere, and then the next day they were gone.
Well, my favorite, and we get into this in the episode, but one of my favorite things about Humvee is I remember in 2008, 2009, when the whole world was falling apart during the financial crisis, China was buying everything. Like every brand that was going bankrupt, China was buying. And then some Chinese car company was buying the Humvee brand. And the Chinese government was like, nah, we're going to pass on this one. Which always cracked me up.
How funny. Even they said no.
Yeah, I mean, they were literally sucking up everything. But, we don't need this stupid car that used to be a tank.
So did you grow up in Southern California? Are you from here?
No, I'm from Queens, New York.
Oh, you're from Queens? Because we have brands out here in California that people would love to know what happened to, like Pup and Taco. And we had something called the Plain Wrapped Hamburger Stand here for a while.
I remember that, yeah. I've been here 20 years.
Oh, you've been here a while.
And my grandparents used to live here, so I definitely remember that. And going back to something you said earlier, God willing, we get to make more of these episodes. I definitely want to do a theme park episode. I have always been obsessed with theme park rides that go out of business, like the Battlestar Galactica ride at Universal. Like, I remember that. I was so young when I did that. I thought it was real. Do you remember that?
Oh, I love the Galactica experience, man. It was a live actor. He would come out and he would yell at the tram, and then he would shoot the Centurions, and they'd fall in half. Yeah. I was the kid in the back of the tram who would turn around to watch the Centurions go back to the normal position.
I did that as well, but the first time I saw it, I was so young. I thought it was real. I mean, it was literally like, oh my God,
yeah,
the guy's coming, you don't believe it.
There are so many stories. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead.
I was saying there's so many attractions at Universal that have come and gone so quickly. They had a Star Trek stage show where people would beam in and out. That was I was there opening day. Yeah.
I was there for, I'd say, at least 10 years. But there's a new example. There's a ride that SeaWorld spent like $80 million on that I think was open for 2 weeks, like last year or this year, like a complete disaster. So I've always loved, like I like going to theme parks like most people, but I've always had just a real, just hunger for more knowledge about, like I did the Harry Potter ride at Universal. When I got home, I Googled and Wikipedia that thing for hours. Like I was just so fascinated by it.
Well,
but anyway, sorry, back to Discontinued.
I work at Knott's Berry Farm, so we've been around almost 100 years. We have lots of attractions that have come and gone over the years.
Yeah, I haven't been there in a while. I got to go back.
Yeah, you should come down. I'll give you the nickel tour.
I'd love that.
What about any candy bars on that list? Because I know in my childhood there was a candy bar called the Marathon Bar. I
remember that.
Legendary, and they've never given an explanation why it went away.
We didn't do any foods. We did the Taco Bell dog Gidget, but that's as close as we got to the foods. So we are. There's a lot of foods we can certainly get into. One of my favorites, and we came this close to doing it, but it didn't make the cut. Do you remember McDonald's did this really bizarre hamburger? And it wasn't about the hamburger. It was about the logistics of the hamburger, and it had the hot stuff on the left.
Yeah. That's the McDLT.
Just some weird. I remember being a kid being like, I don't fucking care. The hamburgers and the fucking lettuce.
That's the Jason Alexander commercial where he sings, hot side stays hot, cold side stays cold, and you had to assemble it yourself. Oh, it was ridiculous.
That's funny. I got to Google that.
And
I didn't know he did one.
Yeah, and it came in almost a pound of styrofoam to keep it all separate.
And it was and again, I remember being a kid just being like, what am I missing here?
Yeah. McDonald's they also had the Arch Deluxe. Do you remember that?
I do remember that,
yeah. That was their adult burger that completely bombed.
Yeah. I do remember that. So anyway, that's your question. No, we didn't do any foods, but God willing, we get to make more of these, and we'll do a lot of foods.
Well,
so there's a lot.
You mentioned Blockbuster. I can't wait. That's a great one. I worked at Blockbuster when I was just out of high school, so I have a big affinity for the place. And when it closed, the one by my house, I actually bought a bunch of their fixtures just so I could have them.
That's cool. I actually did that with Toys R Us a couple months ago.
Yeah.
That's great. Good for you. That was smart.
So when does the show should come on the air?
December 16th, 9:30 p.m.
On the CW network.
The CW, that's right.
And it's hosted by the
CW.
Black Nerd.
That's right, yes.
Oh, that's
Andre
awesome.
Meadows.
I met him at a gaming convention around here the other day, about last year.
He's the best. We did so lucky he agreed to do it. Just raw talent, hard-working, cool dude.
So how many episodes have you got ready to go?
Well, this is what they call a backdoor pilot. And the best comp I can give you is the reboot of Battlestar Galactica back in like 03 or 04.
Yeah.
So basically, if this does well, they'll order more. And if it doesn't do well, they won't.
Well, I will make sure that, my family will tune in, no doubt, because we love all of that nostalgia stuff. I mean, we live and breathe it. The last big wave was VH1's I Love the 80s, I Love the 90s. That sort of went away.
Yeah. Yes, it did.
So you guys are filling a great
Bring
void.
it back.
Bring it back, yes. And when does the next season of Toys That Made Us come on?
We don't have an exact date, but I would say somewhere probably between March and May.
And have you revealed what toys you're doing?
Yes, it's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, My Little Pony, wrestling toys, and, of course, Power Rangers.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I was around for the Power Rangers mania where people were getting into fist fights for those toys. That was crazy.
I remember watching it, but not much. I never got into Power Rangers when I was a kid, but I definitely remember other people going crazy about it. I'm like, cool.
I was too old for Power Rangers. I was a Voltron kid.
Yes, as was I.
Voltron, Robotech. My big thing is Back to the Future. I'm a big Back to the Future fan.
One of my favorite films. Everybody loves that movie.
Yeah, it's a fan. They keep saying they're going to reboot it, but we the real fans hope that they never try to do it again. It's perfect the first time around.
I for one hope they don't.
Yeah. Well, it was great talking to you, sir. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you. I appreciate it very much.
All right, hey, that was Brian Volk-Weiss from Discontinued. That's a brand new show coming on December 16th on the CW, hosted by, Austin, Andre Meadows.
Yes.
Who's that?
I'm having...
He's a YouTube star.
A YouTube star, okay.
Andre Meadows. You met him at that gaming convention we went to.
He was at the Retro Gaming Expo.
Who is he? He gave himself his own name.
He did?
Yes.
I can't.
He's the Black Nerd.
Andre the Black Nerd.
You know him.
Right. I do know him.
We met him. He's a great guy. And he's going to do this show. It's set in like the Indiana Jones warehouse.
Okay.
And you heard Brian just talk. He wouldn't give all the plots, all the storylines, but he did say they're going to talk about Blockbuster, which is really cool. Why Blockbuster went away. Why Toys R Us went away. Which is fresh. And then where is the Taco Bell dog?
Where is the Taco Bell?
We'll find out on the show.
I'd like to know.
That's pretty cool, right? The
Absolutely.
Taco Bell dog?
Me and Mom, we were just driving down our neighborhood just a few hours ago where the Toys R Us used to be. We were sad we couldn't go.
No, Toys R Us is gone.
Peek at the aisles. Oh, it will. Well, not really.
I think it will.
Here's the thing with Toys R Us. The brand's kind of been split 10 ways now. One company owns the name. One company owns Jeffrey the Giraffe. One company...
Everything comes back in good time.
I don't know about that.
I don't know. I don't think we'll ever see a major toy retailer that big anymore. I don't think the market can support it. I have friends who who know the Santa Clauses at theme parks. Does that make sense? And there hasn't been a single child, they said, ask for toys. It's all technology. Kids don't want toys anymore. They want an iPad or the new iPhone.
You know
I
what?
saw Santa just last week, and I asked him for a doll.
I'm going to go out on a limb,
Store.
and I'm going to say, don't put the blame on cell phones. I blame the toys. I don't blame these kids. I think toys nowadays suck compared to
No
what was
way.
available just a few years ago.
In the store, and I still see a million things I want to play with.
I don't know. I think the quality has really gone down. To be fair, the dolls you want are luxury items. You can't even afford them.
Yeah, they're very nice dolls.
I mean, the regular $6-7 Barbie or action figure, just not like what it was just 10 years ago. I don't think I would have collected
Barbie's still got a
toys.
good market.
So what episodes of Toys That Made Us would you like to see, Rachel?
Look,
Strawberry shortcake,
I got
Cabbage
one.
Patch,
American
Ultimate.
Girl?
American Girl.
the ultimate comeback story. We're just talking about how companies can't make a comeback. I can think of one that has made an awesome comeback, whose creator is on nearly every episode of this documentary. I'm talking about Marty Abrams and his company Mego.
Right.
Yeah.
Mego has had an amazing comeback.
Migos are
Build-A-Bear.
actually back in
Can
store.
Build-A-Bear be a
Yes.
Build-A-Bear is a toy, yeah, sure.
toy? Build-A-Bear. That's like 4 episodes I want.
I'd like to know what happened.
And I only get one girl one a season, so they better hurry up.
I'd like to know what happened to Tyco.
Yeah, they used to be a big
Tyco
player
was
in
a
the industry.
big player, and they had
Gone.
CEOs that I think stole all the money and went to the Bahamas or something.
Oh my god. I would like to see a general episode on video game toys and why video games have never had a large action figure line. We still have not had it.
Because kids want to play video games. They don't want to play action figures of video games.
But why do movies have action figure lines and video games don't? It just
Because
confuses me.
movies are interactive, the way video games are.
Because when I was young, I was really sad.
When you were young.
I couldn't have Nintendo figures, so I used one of the characters from the Star Wars comic packs as Ganondorf, and then Leia as Princess Zelda, and I had like one Link PVC, and then I had the Bob Hoskins Mario figure from the movie.
Yeah,
That's all I had.
I still have that.
Where are all the video game toys? Not even Sony has video game toys.
They all bomb.
That's crazy.
Or they're ugly. Remember those Toy Biz ones of Lara Croft?
There's not even any Lara Croft figures right now in the market.
And there was a movie.
And there was a movie with no toy line. Huh. The original Lara Croft movie did have a toy line. That's an exception. 'Cause
You know
that-
what? You know what documentary I'd like to see?
Huh.
I'd like to see who invented, what are those called? Those little muscles?
Yeah.
The little wrestler
'cause those were
guys?
imported from Japan.
The muscles, and then there was a girl line called Cuties.
Yes.
Remember Cuties and Muscles?
And don't forget about Monster in My Pocket.
Yeah, those are really valuable.
Yeah.
But how did that came out of? Is that where Pokemon came from? The Pocket Monster? I don't know.
I don't believe so.
Maybe they need to do a Pokemon one and touch
Pokemon
on
would
that.
be good. What about, okay, is this stretching the definition of a toy? I would like to see Hallmark keepsake ornaments.
That's not a toy.
That's
not a
not
toy?
no, and they're not.
Although I'd watch that,
and they're
it's
not.
not a toy.
They're not discontinued either,
Oh, it's got to be old. Okay, let me think. What discontinued toy do I want to see?
or discontinued anything. This discontinued. The new show is not about toys.
Anything
It's
discontinued.
not anything because I mentioned to him Pup and Taco and the plain wrap hamburger stand and the marathon candy bar.
Oh my
Is it
god.
stores like Zodi's?
It's
Jimbo's?
anything brand. Zodi's would be a great one. What happened to Zodi's?
Yeah.
What about Radio Shack? What did they
Well, we
go?
know what happened to Radio
That's
Shack.
recent.
What happened to Mervin's?
Oh, Mervin.
What happened to Orbox? What happened to Broadway and Buffums?
What about Circuit City?
Yeah, what happened to
Service merchandise.
Alondra 6?
Yeah.
Oh man, GameStop's gonna be next. You guys know that, right?
Well, the writing's on the wall. The video game companies are all going to downloads. Why do we need a store for physical media if it's all downloads?
Hey, get a jump start and do the discontinued episode on GameStop and like keep it in your pocket, because like they just reported like a $450 million loss. They're not doing good at all.
All right.
That's sad.
Okay, we're going to wrap it up, folks. Thanks again to everybody the company is called Comedy Dynamics, a nacelle company. Their new show, again, is Discontinued. It'll be on the CW December 16th at 9:30. Be sure to tune in because if they get a good rating, there will be more of them. And we do want more of them because I love this nostalgia stuff. I don't know about you.
I'm nostalgic just thinking about it.
Yeah, I love this nostalgia stuff. Right, Rachel?
I love all that kind of stuff.
Eventually they'll do a show on malls.
I will watch it. Hey, if Netflix, if you ever want to do a mall show, make it. Get We Tell Archaeology, get Dan Bell, get Jake Williams, get Salvador. Oh my God, it would be amazing.
So thanks for tuning in. This is our show. It's 91 Reasons. If you're just tuning in because you stumbled upon us because of Discontinued or the Toys That Made Us, thank you so much for checking us out. Check out our other episodes. We're a pop culture podcast. We talk about toys, conventions, go into theme parks, what it was like to grow up in the 80s. We talk about all kinds of crazy stuff. You basically become a member of our family, right?
Absolutely.
And Austin is obsessed with chicken strips.
I love my chicken
We just went to
strips.
Raising Cane's the other night.
You know, I actually went to Seo's today because it was going out of business, and it's the last chance. That's going to be discontinued pretty soon.
Yeah.
And they had chicken strip pants. I thought about buying them.
Yeah, they were pajamas covered in chicken strips. I tried to talk him into buying them.
They were
Why
like
would-
$8. I couldn't do it.
Why would you wear that?
That's so Austin. They're
That's
covered in
so
chicken strips.
weird. How does it look like a chicken strip and not like
No, it looked just like it's
a
like
piece of poop?
It's like
you could eat
pictures
it.
of
It
chicken
was
strips.
Like
yeah.
photo reel?
Yeah.
Yeah, photo
But
real
like, what if I
chicken
wake up in
strips.
the middle of the night and my pants and then I
Look
get a
good.
craving?
Right.
You start gnawing on
What
your
if there
legs.
are, do they have dipping sauce slippers?
I can only dream.
Yeah, you can only dream. All right, well, I am Jeff. I'm joined by
Rachel?
Austin?
Luna's here. Josie's off doing something.
Hello.
Yeah. And together we are the podcast known as 91 Reasons.
Thanks for listening. By Graham Thar's Hammer. We'll be back with another episode. Live long and prosper. May the force be with you. So say we all. Hey, hey, hey.
Good night, future boy! So why don't you make like a tree and get out of here?